So far, dozens dismissed and 0 jurors seated. We're now in day 2 of jury selection in former President Donald Trump's Manhattan hush money criminal trial. So far today, 18 potential jurors have made it through the questionnaire phase. Prosecutors and defense attorneys have been questioning all of them individually. The prosecution has been focused so far on whether jurors could be fair, and the defense has been asking their opinions of the former president. Both sides are now considering who they want to strike from that batch of prospective jurors. Let's discuss with jury consultant Richard Gabriel. He's worked on a number of high-profile cases, including O.J. Simpson, Casey Anthony, and Aaron Hernandez. He's the president of Decision Analysis and the author of the book Acquittal. Richard, thank you so much for sharing part of your afternoon with us. What's your impression of the pace of jury selection so far? It could take up to several weeks to just seat a jury.
Boris, I don't think it's going to take that long. Actually, I think we're making good progress right now. Even though a lot of jurors were dismissed yesterday, who were obviously very candid about their opinions, said they couldn't be fair, there's a number of people that are seated. So we've got 18 in the box. The magic number that both sides need in order to exercise their peremptory challenges is around 38 to 40 jurors there. So if we've got 18 so far, the parties are obviously reading the questionnaires and seeing, okay, how can I exercise those? I think we're getting there actually fairly quickly.
Roughly half the potential jurors that were brought in yesterday said that they could not be impartial, and they got immediately disqualified. They were very forthcoming with their views. I'm wondering how the court potentially weeds out jurors who may actually have a bias one way or the other, but are less forthcoming with their views.
Well, it's very difficult because mostly the law recognizes a stated bias, whether a juror says, yes, I can't be fair. And then there also has to be, the court then considers, well, is there an inferred bias? In other words, is there something that the juror says that really does give rise? One of the examples it might have from this morning is that some of the jurors said, well, I've got strong opinions, so I'm not sure. I think I can be fair, but I'm not sure. Well, a defendant is actually entitled to a jury who is certain of that they can be fair and impartial. So the court has to make some decisions in terms of excusing a juror for a cause about whether it's stated or not, or whether they can overcome that bias. In other words, if they're self-aware enough to be able to monitor that bias during the trial and just look at the evidence.
What do you think this jury pool is ultimately going to look like?
Well, I think it's going to be a very educated pool. I mean, that's fairly normal for Manhattan. You know, there's lawyers that are now in the pool. There's financial people. There's marketing executives. Typically, the education is fairly high. So it will probably be a fairly smart jury. There might be, but it'll be a diverse jury also. It'll be diverse demographically. And so it ultimately is going to be very interesting, especially as I noted, there's already a couple of lawyers in the thing. That's always poses a little bit of a risk for both sides because those are opinion leaders. Those are people who can actually really steer the jury. So both sides are kind of looking at this and going, who are going to be my main leaders in this jury? And I think it's going to be very interesting.
The defense and the prosecution, they both get these 10 preemptive strikes. They could essentially have a juror dismissed, no questions asked, up to a limit of 10. How does the strategy go about when they decide to employ that strike?
Well, it is a little bit like chess. It's a little bit like 3D chess, in which you are using your strikes. There are some people that you think, maybe the other side's going to strike them, therefore I can spare my strike. Truly, you're picking a jury of sort of only a few people who are going to be the opinion leaders. So you're prioritizing who are your most high-risk individuals and then trying to eliminate them to basically reshape the pool a little bit so you get the most advantageous hearing. Both sides are looking for different things, though. The prosecution is looking for a consensus jury, a group of people who's going to work together, get along, and come to a unanimous verdict. The defense is looking, though, for a jury, what I would call a high conflict jury, a jury that's going to not get along, that's going to fight each other, because let's face it, Donald Trump is a win for him if he gets even a hung one juror or several that don't agree with the verdict.
Richard, Gabriel, really appreciate your perspective. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.